You're listening to Unperfect, the podcast where I help women experience intimacy with God and fully live the lives they've been dealt. I'm Shelly Snead, your host, and if you're looking for ways to connect with others and build strong relationships, we have got you today in episode number 127. Whether you're married or single, or you're a parent of young kids, or you're an empty nester, you're going to leave this podcast with some ideas in your tool belt for connecting with others around you at your very own table via game night. So listen in. Hey guys, I have got Jody Allen in the house. Whoop, whoop. Hey Jody.
Hey Shelly, glad to be here.
Yes, glad to be back because once again, we're having a take two on a podcast episode.
Clearly we are not tech savvy.
We are not. And we went and fired our tech support guy, Nick, I'm just kidding. He worked for free.
He did work for free, but he did not fix our problem.
He did not. And if we fix our problem before a tech person fixes their problem, they shouldn't be a tech person. And I'm totally kidding. This is Nick, her son, who did not even volunteer for the job.
Right.
He was recruited. But I am glad that we're back. We're going to have fun in this episode, but it's still going to be spiritually and I think relationally helpful this episode. But we're going to kick it off with the good old-fashioned game of Would You Rather, the game edition. All right, so here's my first question for you, Jody. Would you rather win every game but be known as a sore winner, or lose every game but be everyone's favorite player?
Shelly, I do like to win. I mean, I really like to win, but I don't want to be a sore winner. And maybe I'm a people pleaser, but I'm going to have to lose every game and be everybody's favorite player. What about you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't even feel like that's fair because I want to win every game and be everybody's favorite player. But you do want to be invited back to game night, so I guess I'm going to have to go with lose and be the favorite.
Sure. How about this, Shelly? Would you rather play one epic 4-hour game of Monopoly, said no one ever, if I could just choose that for you, or
I just got triggered,
or 10 quick games of Uno back to back?
All right. I'm going to say 10 quick games of Uno because I have never played an Uno game that was quick, which is why I don't really prefer it. So if they're quick, I can handle that. How about you? I'm guessing I know the answer to it. How you're going to answer.
Definitely Uno. And if they are quick, I have a card shuffler. So you just put them in this little card shuffler and you crank it. I mean, you can get electronic ones. So the shuffling is not the issue. Monopoly is a problem. I'm going with Uno for sure.
Yeah, and I have friends that have played Monopoly in the past, and they have these games that go late into the night, and I'm just like, no. But maybe it's because I've played it with my kids a lot. I don't know. Actually, I'm not giving it any street cred. We're just moving on. All right, here's a fun one. Would you rather always have to play games with missing pieces? That's another trigger right there. Or with someone who constantly makes up new rules.
I'm such a rule follower, Shelly.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so I am going to have to go with missing pieces. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you are definitely a rule follower. You are the reason that the two of us are in jail. Probably half the time we're together. But yeah, it's annoying to play with missing pieces, but here's something I would learn. I think I'm going to choose the missing pieces because we have learned to substitute things. Like when we play Settlers of Catan and we can't find the robber, we put in a little Lego minifigure or something like that. So it just kind of makes it even more fun. Or a Hershey Kiss. We were doing it around Christmas, and there was a Hershey Kiss that was the robber. So that was kind of fun.
That's fun.
Yeah.
All right, one for you, Shelly. Would you rather have to sing every time you draw a card, or dance every time you roll the dice? I'd like to hear it from a musician such as yourself.
Well, you would think, because I am a singer, that I would like to sing it, but dancing's just fun. And especially if I'm playing with my kids and they think my dancing is horrific. And so that just makes it more fun to dance. So I'm going to go with dancing. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
You know it. I'm saying dancing because then it's not just game night, then it's a dance party. That's even more fun.
And you are a rock star line dancer, so I knew you were going to say that. All right. Last one. You don't have to be spiritual on this one. Just be honest.
Okay.
Would you rather play a game with your favorite Bible character or your favorite celebrity? Celebrity, as my daughter says.
I'm sure the right answer is Jesus. I feel like I feel like I'm supposed to say a Bible character in Jesus, but that's not what I'm going to say.
Well,
It's
I
going to
don't
be a
even know that that's the right answer because he's going to know what cards you have. So that just wouldn't even
yeah.
be
You're
fair.
right. You're right, Shelley. Okay,
Sovereign,
so
or
I'm going with the
omniscient.
celebrity
Omniscient. That's the right word.
because he knows it all.
He
Yeah,
knows it
you're
all.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the celebrity, and it's going to have to be a comedian because it would be super fun with Nate Bargatze or however you say his last name, or
Yes.
Tim Hawkins or somebody fun like that. That's what I'm going with. But what about you?
Okay. That I'm just sitting in this for a moment, playing a game with Nate Bargatze. You know, he has a podcast. Maybe we could figure out a way to get him on the podcast to play a quick game with us or something.
Oh, that could
That
be fun.
would be hilarious. Now, we play a lot of bluffing games, so I don't know. Judas might be kind of interesting to play a game with. That's probably not supposed to be funny, but I thought it was fun.
Judas playing games with the Snead family.
Judas and the Sneeds sounds like a rock band. Uh, well, Jody, you and I were talking recently about things we did with our kids growing up that we are so glad that we did, that we took the time that we were intentional about. And one of those things, like for example, for me was reading aloud to my kids. We from the time they were toddlers, you know, reading those board books that you basically memorized because they wanted you to read them over and over and over until they were like teenagers. And I started reading the books that they were reading, which I highly recommend, and then we could, you know, fangirl, fanboy about that stuff together. But that is time spent that I am so glad that we did together.
Yeah, that's neat. Now, I'm so impressed that you read the same books as your kids. I did not do that. I mean, I would like to say that I did, but I just didn't. But one thing that we did do that I'm really glad that we did, and that was family dinners. We would all eat together at nighttime. It was really important that we sat at the table. And then I kept a jar of questions in the middle of the table, conversation starters. And it might be things like, where would be your favorite vacation be? Or who's your best friend? And why are they your best friend? What makes a good friend? So I think just having family dinners together and just having those conversation starters, that was really helpful.
Yeah, I love that. And we did this thing where we went around and we would tell what's your low light for the day and your highlight for the day. And there were rules about that where they were not allowed to say mom's cooking could not be what we were having for the meal couldn't be a low light, and then school couldn't be a low light because everybody tried to just be like school, you know.
Uh,
But
Easy answer, easy answer.
yeah, exactly.
There is one other thing that we didn't do that I'm glad that we didn't do, and that was playing club sports. Now, not to condemn anybody whose kids are playing club sports, but that it's just a whole lifestyle, and
Yeah.
we just committed from a long time ago. I mean, it didn't apply to my daughter; she was more into dance and that sort of thing. But my son was a soccer player, and we just knew that we were not going to miss church and just live that lifestyle of being gone all the time. And I'm so glad because my son now plays college soccer. And he played at one college and now he's playing at another college because he's getting his master's somewhere. And you know what? It's fine. I mean, it's on a
That's
Division two
awesome.
team and that works for us. So I'm so glad that we didn't do that because it turned out fine.
Yeah, we had a similar situation. We had one child that was probably the most athletic, and we just decided early on we wanted to be able to go to church together on Sundays and not have our weekends. Plus, we had four kids, and just to be divided that much wasn't going to be something that worked for us. I would say though the biggest thing that we did and we still do today is playing games. And our family has so much fun around the table playing games. Like still to this day, even the kid that says he hates to play games, but when we make him, he is the funnest person in the family to play games with. So it's just we've had so many great conversations and things come up. We just love playing games. There's a sign in my kitchen that says the best memories are made gathered around the table. And so that's been a huge one. Another thing I love that we were intentional about was sharing our spiritual journeys with our kids. We've, you know, kind of from early on decided we're jacked up. We're going to make sure they know we know, and we're going to be honest about when we mess up, but also when we have spiritual victory, so they can see, oh, God is working in mom and dad's life. But all these things that we've just mentioned, what they have in common is presence, right? Spending time together. I think presence is a powerful thing. And I think it's where the magic happens in relationships, just being with other people in intentional ways. And one place that happens every single time is game night. And we're going
Game
to be
night.
saying, yeah, we're going to be saying game night, but it could be game afternoon or game morning or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we're big fans of game.
Well, a big fan of game night. So today, for fun, since we are nearing the biggest stretch of a consecutive holiday seasons of the year, we are going to be talking about one way that we can experience deep connections, and not with just with our families, but with our friends, with our neighbors, in social groups and in ministry groups, and that is just really game night. And we're going to talk about all things game night, particularly some games, some old games, some new games that Shelly and I are loving right now, and maybe just some ideas of incorporating game night into your family, into your holiday season, into your community. But first, let's just talk about why game nights are so powerful. And I think one
Yeah.
reason that game nights are so powerful is just for the connections, because we connect with other people. And something neat happens when you sit around the table. But in my case, in my house, we sit in the floor. I don't know why. I'm too old for that, Shelley, to play our games. But we laugh together, we have a little friendly competition, and then suddenly, those people that you didn't know before, you get to know them a little bit better, and they feel a little bit like family. And
Right.
so those times of connections, they may seem small, but they just lay the groundwork for deeper relationships. Because if we do game night on a regular basis, one game night builds on another game night that builds on another game night. And then we just find ourselves making memories with people that we didn't really know around a game of Skip-Bo. And
Right.
you just get to know each other. I mean, who's the competitive one in your group, or who is the person who really could care less about the whole thing, or
Yeah.
who cheats, or who's the person that's always late? Are you a cheater, Shelley?
I am not a cheater, but let me tell you this. My brother, I'm going to throw my oldest brother, Steve, under the bus because was a game that my family played growing up. We loved it. It's chaotic. There's lots of people. There's cards flying everywhere. And you're trying to get all these cards in the middle of the table because they count positive for you. But we played it one Thanksgiving, and I think it was our family and my cousin Doug. So there were 6 of us. Uh, and we videoed it just for fun. And like years later, we were watching the video and somebody yells nerds, which means the game is over. And you see my brother Steve just throwing a bunch of cards in the middle, totally cheating. And like none
Such a
of us
cheater.
do it 3 years later. So hopefully he's gotten better. He's on staff at a church, and hopefully I didn't just get him
I
fired.
hope so.
But
Well, I do feel like game night is that's our community can just grow through game night, and it starts with just simple things like a board game.
yeah,
Friendships can be made right in the middle of like an ordinary life, and we don't have to have the same life experience, or we don't have to vote that way. We can just get together and encourage one another, because that's what First Thessalonians 5:11 says, that we can encourage one another and build each other up. And one way that I'm doing that now is I'm on staff at my church and I lead our women's ministry. And sometimes we'll have a game night, which gives women who are new to the church just an opportunity to jump in a non-threatening way. And it gives other women in the church the opportunity to connect with her too. And, it's easy, it's inexpensive. But I
yeah,
think sometimes we can have connections with people for the long haul over that. I know I only keep up with 2 people from high school, 2 girls from high school, but they are the 2 girls that I played games with. We would sit
mm,
around and play Trivial Pursuit and 3 spoons and a box of Heavenly Hash ice cream and just eat it all. And that's been over 3 decades ago. I don't want to say 4 because that sounds really old. So I'm going to say over 3
yeah.
decades ago. And we are still close together. And that just kind of helped build our relationship.
That is so cool. And
Yeah.
so cool that y'all played Trivial Pursuit because I stink at that game. I just don't know things that I should know. Even when we were younger and played it, people would be like, oh, excited that they had me on their team because then we'd get all the music questions. And no, I don't know, like, I don't know things that I should know. So
Well, how have you made connections during game night, Shelly?
So, yeah, a lot of the same thing you're talking about. But one night that really sticks out, or one memory that sticks out that keeps coming back, is my husband and my daughter-in-law have this joke, and now it's the whole family joke about hexagons. He bought her a T-shirt for Christmas that has a hexagon on it, and it all started from a game night a long time ago, before she was even our daughter-in-law, where we were playing Telestrations. Fabulous game. We'll mention it later, but it is a great game for groups. And she was supposed to draw a hexagon, and I think she drew a pentagon or something, which, who cares? But
Shelly,
my husband,
I don't even know the difference.
well, my husband has 3 degrees in math, so he does.
Oh,
So she went home that night. He went straight to the computer and found a T-shirt with a hexagon. I bought it for her for Christmas. But it's just kind of a sweet memory too, because it's like that was something they shared that was fun, they could rib each other about. And it comes up in every other game we play now, like somebody finds a way to bring in the word hexagon, just for fun and to give her a hard time. But yeah, I think the connections is a very, very powerful part of game night. Another thing that I think is powerful, which is a little bit different, is that we are able to tell our story, and we are able to have other people listen to our story. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to sit there and go, hey, before you roll the dice, I'd like to tell you everything I'm struggling with. But naturally, stories just flow, right? When you're in conversation. And we've talked about biblical community on here before. I'll link to that episode that you and I did together. But one of the things we said in there was how high the statistics are for loneliness and mental health issues in our nation, and probably in the whole world. We've just seen those on the rise. And I was thinking of Galatians 6:2, which says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you'll fulfill the law of Christ. And I think holding space for other people to just be able to talk is one way we can do that. I mean, we often think of carrying their burden. Okay, I'm going to cook them a meal, or I'm going to go babysit, or I'm going to give them a gift card. But I think sometimes what people need from us most could be our presence, emotional presence, physical presence. So I think that's an important thing that happens on game night. Just because we're in close proximity to people, and also in response to this digital age that we're in, where even when we're together, if we aren't doing something like an intentional game, we're on our phone, we're scrolling, we're
right.
looking at messages. And this just kind of gives you my kids will even get on to us like, no phones, it's game night, put the phone down, like, you're not supposed to be checking your phone. So yeah, we can catch up with people during game nights. We can empathize with them. And I don't just mean it has to be all serious stories. We're telling embarrassing stories. We're just,
Yeah.
and like you said, the personalities that come through, that's pretty fun. That
Yeah.
happens on a game night. So have you experienced that in a game night setting, Jody?
Definitely. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine hosted a game night. And when I say host, that conjures up like all this big to do, which it wasn't, although her house is beautiful. So it was just 4 girls, and we went over, and we were there from 7 to 11, and we talked for 4 hours, and we didn't open up one game. We just ate
Wow.
pumpkin dip, and we just talked about stories and catching up on parenting stuff. And it was just a really neat time together. And we were like, okay, well, I guess we'll have to have game night again where we actually play games. But it
Right.
was just really neat just to kind of connect with them. But I think another thing about game night, which you kind of mentioned this when you're talking about the hexagon, is that it's not just sharing our stories with one another, but it's really just creating those new stories,
Yes.
because you're still talking about the hexagon. And I
Yeah.
remember when my kids were younger, I did not let my kids win. Did you let your kids win, Shelly?
I did. It was kind of a ratio of, 2 wins to 1 loss, or I kind of tried to make it
No,
fair.
no, not in the
We
Allen
are
household.
competitive.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, they've just got to learn. They've got to be good winners and good losers. So I did not let my kids win. And so we still tell the story about the first time that Nick my son beat me in checkers. Like, it was a big deal because, you know, I didn't let them win. So that is a story that we keep talking about. So I think it's important that we're just not just sharing our stories, but we're creating new stories.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so so true. Yeah, the inside jokes that come out of game night, I mean,
Yeah.
they stick. Or the inside jokes that make their way into game night is can be just as funny. Yeah, I think maybe for us, the most powerful thing that happens on game night is that we are able to let our guard down and we can just let laughter and fun do some really healing work. One thing, whether you're a Chosen fan or not, I know some people have a thing about that, but one of my favorite things that Dallas Jenkins and Jonathan Rumi do to with the character that they're portraying of Jesus is that they give him a sense of humor, which I don't think is a far stretch. I mean,
Right.
like
I agree.
you look at his parables, I mean, he's got a sarcastic, snarky little bent to him, right? Like he's like, before you take, the speck out of your brother's eye, how about taking the 2x4 out of yours, right? Uh, but I also think he's a creative God. First Timothy 6:17 also says that he created all things for our enjoyment. So there's a piece there that God wants us to enjoy this life. This is not a prosperity gospel. I'm just saying he has given us the gift of laughter
Yeah.
and joy for a reason. He says in Ecclesiastes, there's a time to laugh and a time to cry. And then this psalm that I just discovered recently, this is Psalm 126. I love what it says. It says, when the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. Our mouths were filled with laughter and our tongues with shouts of joy. So the best example I have for this is we have some friends in Asheville, and we have been having game nights for probably close to 30 years. We just get together with them and play. We've played every game under the sun. It's another couple. And the funny thing is, Art and I will text and be like, hey, y'all up for a game night, this weekend or whatever. And I honestly think because we have been through so many challenges, and I feel like we're always in a crisis with things going on with our kids and family. I think that the Andrews, the other couple, takes that text as code for the Sneads they need some time to laugh. We need to have them over ASAP. It's like a 911
Oh,
call or something.
I
But
love that.
yeah, but it is, we go over there and we will share, there's a scripture that talks about a joyful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit crushes the bones or dries up the bones. And that just makes me think about this setting of the game nights we have with them, because we will maybe go over there with broken spirits
Yeah.
and share some of that stuff. But I'm telling you, we end up laughing so hard through the games. And mix matching. Sometimes it's the wives against the husbands. Sometimes it's me with the other husband against, Art and the other wife. We just mix match it up and have so much fun. But without fail, every time we get in the car after one of those game nights, my husband will look at me and say, I needed that.
Oh,
And to
yeah.
me, that's just the perfect picture of that, having that space to cry and to laugh, because we got together over something as simple as a game night.
Yeah. Well, I have definitely experienced that too, Shelly. Just kind of letting your guard down and then just laughing. Uh, as you know, have gone through separation and eventually divorce. And I had a friend, her name was Renee, and she would always help me figure out my life, but she would also pretty frequently, she would invite me over for game night just to get a break from crying. I would,
Yes.
eat a new recipe. Not that I would need the new recipe because I wasn't going to cook it, but I could eat it at her house. And then we would play games and I would learn new games. And I just needed that break from just my emotional trauma at the time. And it was such a gift to me, such a gift to me. So I think there's so much value in game night, so much value.
For
Okay,
sure.
Shelly, listen, we have talked about some benefits of game night, but how about let's talk about some game night ideas, because not everybody has a big family to play games with. And so, how can we tap into the power of game night? Because if you're an empty nester or you're single parent or you have really young kids, I know for me, as I said, my kids graduated from college and my son is back home going to grad school. And so I just think it's important that you just ask. I just
Mm.
ask him, hey, ask your adult kids, will you play a game with me? Now, my son, typically his response is, well, I can, meaning, well, I mean, I will if you want me to. So I think it's just important just ask them to play with us. And you can go to game night that your church offers, or at the Y or at the senior center, because I'm old enough to go to the senior center, so I can go to game night at the senior center.
You don't look old enough to go to the senior center.
Oh, why? Thank you, Shelly.
Funny story. When Jody and I went to go, we got carded at the senior center. That was great. That was really exciting because they were like, we went line dancing and they were like, are y'all 50? You have to be 50 to be in. And I honestly didn't even think you were 50 because I was like, oh, Jody just
Oh,
lied. She
yes,
said she was
I've
50.
exceeded that.
Yeah.
I've exceeded that. I I think also as a single, I actually go to another couple's house and just have game night with them. I You could feel like a third wheel, but they're just very inviting to me, and I just go over and we just have a great time. But I think as a single parent, even you could get together and bring a kid game that you can play, or you can and then bring an adult game and let the kids play their games and you play your game. Now you
Yeah.
might have some fights that break out, but I
Yes.
think that I think that's worth a shot. But I think another important thing to say is that, especially to single moms or single parents, is you don't really have to have food, because food can be really expensive. If you think about you're hosting this big game night, when I go to my friend's house, the couple that I go to their house, sometimes I eat with them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just eat before I go, so I don't feel like there's any pressure to feel like you have to have food. It
Sure.
can be free. It can be free.
Or you can
Yeah.
say, everybody bring something. And
Yeah.
then,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
we'll all, bring it either for yourself or bring something to share or something. I've been to some
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. I like that. If you're an empty nester, like you mentioned, I will say there are games. We've had to find games for two people, and you just have to find the right ones that work. We are really into cribbage right now, which I think is an ancient. It's been around forever, but it's fun.
I've never played that.
I know we need to teach you because you can play it with four people. You can play it with three
Okay.
people. You can play it with two people. You probably could even play it with six people if you had teams of two, but I don't know. Well, y'all can Google that. I've never played with that many people. Uh, but sometimes Art and I'll take a game on the back porch. We will light up the solo stove and just change up the atmosphere a little bit. I know my mom, she lives alone, but she gets together once a week to play Mahjong. I have never played that game, but she has some ladies that maybe 6 to 8 ladies, depending on whoever's there that time. And they meet every Tuesday very faithfully to play this game. And none of them go to her church or in her Bible study or anything. So it's even a ministry opportunity. I think game night can be a great ministry opportunity. You can invite women in your neighborhood over or whatever.
Yeah.
What you got?
I think that's a great idea, Shelley. I think it's a great opportunity just to meet new people in your neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we were going on the same thought there.
Yeah.
We even have some friends, the Andrews, who I just mentioned, that we play games with a lot. They have grown boys who live in other states, and they have tapped into online games with each other, which I think is so cool. We aren't there yet. We only have one right now that's in another state. But I think that's so cool. There's games like Scriblio, which is an online like Pictionary. They play card games together. There's a Cards Mania where you can do like spades and stuff with people in other places. I even, when I was researching for this podcast, found out you can play code names with other people, which we'll get to that in a minute. But that's another one of my favorite games to play, which I think we taught you. Didn't we teach you that?
Yeah. I played that at your house for the first time. Yep.
Yeah.
And my son was just, he has when he plays, this is more of a video game, and I can't remember the name of it, but he will put his friend on FaceTime. And so they will talk on FaceTime while they are playing each other on the screen. And it's kind of fun because they're talking, yet they're playing together.
Yes. Yeah. Anything to make even, I would say, even with, screens, what's a way to make it something that is interactive? Because there's another game, well, I'll mention in a minute. I think it's called Jackbox. where you cast it up to your TV screen, but then everybody that's in the room gets a QR code on their phone, and then they're typing in their own answers to questions, and it's you get to vote
Wow.
on whose answer you like the best, and they're usually hilarious, and it's been really fun. We've been doing that with them.
That's
But
pretty high
so
tech, Shelly.
yeah, it is because you know me, I'm high tech. That's why I
What?
couldn't print something yesterday. But let's move into, since we're already talking about games, our ideas for games to play. Now, if you're listening, this is not a conclusive list of all of the best games. We didn't go Google what are the top games. These are Jody and I's favorite games. But since y'all know we're fun, that maybe you'll want to tap into. So we're going to start out with some classics card games that you probably already know, but then we hopefully we'll move into some that maybe you haven't, and you can go put them on your Christmas list or get them for the holidays or whatever to make more intentional times with your family and make them fun. All right, we're going to start off with card games. We've got the Uno, which I already said earlier can get long and annoy me, but Uno Attack was a favorite of my kids because then there's that element of they're all going to shoot and hit you in the face. Skip-Bo, that was a great game. It's that, and Nerds is kind of like Skip-Bo. If you don't have Skip-Bo and you just have lots of decks of cards. What are some other ones that
Well,
your family played?
well, we are big fans of Skippo. If I say to my son, "What do you want to play?" and he's like, well, I can. It's usually Skippo because you can make it fast, you can make it short.
Right.
But I remember a few years ago, my kids got this game. I don't even know how we found out about this game, the Scrambled States of America, which is kind of geography. Phase 10 is a good card game, but the game that we like that we is another go-to for us is Play 9, which is kind of a golf card game. And when we had that at game night at church, I bet 4 or 5 women went and bought it afterwards. This is really it's a fun game. Play 9.
Yeah, and I think I have played a version of it with regular cards called golf, and it just came to my mind because my nephew in law Kyung Woo was telling me that he listed that. I had asked him asked some of my family members what their favorite games were. All right, let's move to some board games. I
Okay.
love Ticket to Ride. You're building train routes across a map. It's kind of fun. Scrabble. Okay, funny story about Scrabble. Art and I used to play this when we were newlyweds. And in case y'all haven't figured this out yet, because I just said he has 3 math degrees and I have 2 music ones, he is leaps and bounds smarter than me, like leaps and bounds smarter. But we would play Scrabble and I would win every time. And it was driving him nuts because without saying, I'm smarter than you, why am I? He would just be like, it doesn't make sense to me that you're beating me in this game. But he figured out we were playing while he had ESPN playing in the background on the TV. And so he
Oh,
started turning off the TV, and I haven't won a game since of Scrabble.
that is so funny, Shelly.
Yeah. I mentioned cribbage. That's fun. You can look it up. Rummy Cube is fun. That one's it's been around a while. What
I
el-
do
what are
like that one.
what are some of your family's good board
We
games?
have the game of life, which can be a little long, kind of like life. It can be a little long sometimes.
Yes.
Sorry and Trouble are 2 standard ones. And, the thing with Sorry and Trouble, when I would play with my son, he's also very competitive. He would play, he would want to win, but mostly he wanted me to lose. So if he had a choice of winning versus me losing, he's going to want me to lose. It's so bizarre.
Wow. So I have a
Then
son sort of like that. He would much rather win every time. But if we're playing Catan, my oldest son, Silas, if he's losing, then he's like, well, the next best thing is to ruin my mom's chances. And he will go after me. So, yeah,
maybe our sons could be kindred spirits.
maybe so.
Kindred spirits.
Or maybe they could go to therapy together.
Maybe they could. A sequence, that's a great, we love that game. And
Yes.
Candyland, I know if we can go kids, Candyland, that's a good standard game. But I have to say, Candyland, again, a little bit like Monopoly, it can be pretty long. So when
Yes.
my kids were little, this was my parenting hack. The cards at the top. When you get all the way to the top of the path and you have the card, and then you draw that one card that makes you go all the way back to the bottom. And I was like, oh my word, we have to start this game all over again.
Right.
I just couldn't do it. So before the game started, I would go through and take out those cards that sent you all the way back. It was such a great parenting hack. So just passing that along in
Wow.
case you're interested in making candy a little bit shorter.
That is a great hack. And your kids might need therapy when they have their own kids and realize those cards exist. And they're like, wait a minute, we've never seen this card before. All right, here are some deep thinking strategy kind of fun games that, and so I say that where you probably want older kids or adults to play with you. Code names that I mentioned, that's a lot of fun. You gotta kind of think on the same wavelength as your partner, and hope that they don't choose the assassin card. Settlers of Catan. I love that game, and I'm way too competitive on it. I have left it crying before. It's really sad. Hanabi. This is a fun one that I think my husband found it. I think his mom sent it to him. But the cool thing about Hanabi is everybody's working together. I know you wouldn't like that because you can't win because you're just working to get the best score you can with everyone else. But the fun thing is you're holding your cards, everyone's holding their cards, but they're backwards. So you can't see your own cards. So it's up to other people to follow the rules of how they can help you know what's in your hand and what to play. It's really, really fascinating. Chameleon, that is a fun one where you're basically trying to blend in if you're the chameleon and fake it and, or try to figure out who the imposter is. Skull, that's a bluffing and betting your way through a game. That's fun. That escalated quickly. This is a new one that we have discovered, and it's pretty fun.
I was thinking when you were talking about the whole bluffing thing, I don't know if you've ever done a murder mystery dinner where you were like the participants.
No,
It's actually pretty
I've
fun.
always wanted to though.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Everybody comes in costume, and then you've got somebody who's the murderer, of course, and then you have these clues, and of course, I was the murderer, and I'm just terrible at lying. So, if I ever lie to you, Shelly, you're gonna know because I'm just terrible at it. And so, I was the murderer, and I was like, oh. So you have to make up all these lies. You got to remember what you're said. That's a fun one to do, like in real life with costumes. But also, there's Clue. That's a pretty standard strategy game.
Yeah, that's
Bananagrams.
fun.
We played 10 days. There are these 10 days games. There are geography. It's 10 days in Asia and Europe and Africa. Lots of those. But then there is Trivial Pursuit. There's a Trivial Pursuit for everything. There's a
Yeah.
Trivial Pursuit for Harry Potter, for Friends, for the Beatles. At our house, we used the family edition because then you had questions for adults and questions for kids. Now, I needed the questions for kids because
Yeah.
I'm just not adult like when it comes to the things I remember. And I definitely do not want the history one, the history Trivial Pursuit, because I just memorized for the test. So
Same.
I can't answer any of those questions.
Same. And I didn't even do good on the test. So I don't even know that we could say I memorized it for the test. All right. Here are some games that are just fun. Now, some of the other ones were fun, but these are like comical fun where you're laughing a lot, which some of the other ones were too. But Throw Burrito, that game is hilarious. You have these stuffed burritos, like it's almost like a stuffed animal burrito kind of thing. And it's like a game of spoons on crack. That's what it is. But you're throwing burritos at each other at different points. So that one's fun.
But to be
Telestration.
clear,
Yeah.
you're not using crack.
You're not using crack. Thank
Yes.
you. See,
Just to be
with
clear.
me, we get arrested. With you, we clarify. This is why. This is why we need real followers in our life. Um, Telestrations is like telephone meets Pictionary, and it's so much fun. And you can just make fun of people forever if that's your thing. I will not confirm or deny whether that's a Snead thing, although you already know because I told you what happened with the hexagon. Apples to apples, that's a fun one with words. Um, there's another one. I can't remember if it's on here. Well, I think I mentioned it later in the group games, but it's called Puns of Anarchy, and it's like an even funnier version of Apples to Apples. So we love that one.
That's fun. Well, I know we've played categories or taboo's a good one. That's a good one to do.
Yes.
And Guess Who? I don't know if you've ever played Guess Who, but you have these little tiles that pop up and you have to guess. There are all these little characters and you have to guess which character the other person has. That my kids really like that. There's an animal
Yeah.
version. There's a people version. It's pretty fun. I'm not saying there's a version that animals play. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's a version that has animals in it. That's what I'm saying,
Well,
Shelly.
well, dang. Rocket just looked up and got excited. Like, oh, there's one for animals. Yeah. So group games. So like these are some that are fun with 4 people or more, but the bigger the group, the more hilarious they get. Catchphrase, where you're racing against time to get your team to guess something. Blank slate, you're trying to predict words that other people are going to say, because if you want to be with the majority. On the opposite of that, maybe not on the opposite, I can't remember exactly. Herd mentality. You are supposed to, this one you want to think like the group, because if you're the odd one out, you have to have this pink cow, and it's really weird. Jackbox, I mentioned, that's that one that you can throw up on your screen. A to Z. This one is so fun. You have this little bitty electronic box that has all the letters of the alphabet. And so a category will come up, and you're racing with the other team to find words in that category that fill up all the alphabet. And sometimes you'll get on this one that lets you take off buttons that have been pushed on the other team. It's a lot of fun. There's a kids version, which is kind of like what you were saying. It makes it a little easier. You don't have to name like 5 NFL teams. It'd just be like name sports that start with these letters or whatever. So I like that one. Scum is another one. It's also called El Presidente. It's also called a word that I'm not going to say on this podcast, but that one is hilarious. And you're trying to climb the social ladder. And we used to play it, and the person at the head had like a crown or something, and the person that was the scum had this really ugly hat that Art had that was called the festive bonnet, and that person had to wear that. So that was
bonnet.
Fun. Yeah.
I think I don't even heard of Happy Salmon. We actually have 2 of those because my son wanted to take to college. I don't know that he ever opened it, but it's pretty fun. You're throwing cards on the table. You're running around the table. That's a pretty fun one to do in a group.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, this makes me want to have a game night right now. But I hope you, our listeners, have gained some insights on connecting with other people. And I hope maybe you've caught a vision on how you can represent the witness of our triune God by just being with other people intentionally for a game night, playing games with other people.
Yeah, and so maybe you can think of a family member or a friend who's just looking for some game night ideas, or they just are looking to know what a hexagon means or how to meet the kids. You could just send this episode to them.
That's true. Maybe we should put a link to shape names in the show notes. But seriously, as always, we are praying that you are able to see glimpses of God's glory in the now and the not yet of your unperfect life and of your unperfect game nights this week. We'll see you next time.